Hey guys and girls, how you going? It's Daniel Walsh from Your Property of Wealth, and I'm talking today about the RBA announcement. Rates are on hold again. I want to talk to you about why they're on hold, and I want to talk to you about also what's going to happen with interest rates in the future. Where do I think they're heading? So the number one thing is the actual GDP growth hasn't come out yet, the reports, and they're expecting around a 3% GDP growth from the reports, but we're yet to see them. Number two is the global economy last year was growing, and what we've seen is the global economy starting to slow down on the back half of 2018 and even continuing into 2019. So seeing that growth slow, obviously, as they've looked at that and thought it's probably best off to put the rates on hold because we don't want to reduce them too early. So that is one thing that we have noticed. The next thing is obviously the trade wars. We've seen these trade wars with China and the tension that's happened over the last sort of 12 months, and the uncertainty there and the uncertainty of China is another thing why they're looking at the economy and they're thinking, do we just keep rates on hold for now because we want to see later on what happens with all of the economy and whether we drop rates or raise interest rates. Now at the moment we're seeing that China is easing up on finance and credit, so we're seeing that the things are changing in China, so we're yet to see obviously the impact of what's happening there, but we'll probably see that unfold in the next 12 months. Long-term bond yields, they are decreasing in line with expectation of what inflation is over the next sort of 12 to 24 months. So we're seeing bond yields decrease. We're also seeing that the job market is increasing. So we're seeing that the jobs are good and they remain quite steady and resilient, but we're also seeing that some job key growth areas in the labour market and skills of shortage of trades, things like that, they're actually starting to increase, which we're starting to see wage growth from these types of jobs that are out there, putting pressure on a shortage at the moment. So we're looking for wage increase, and generally when wage increases, that's when inflation increases as well. We need to have inflation increase between 2 to 3% is what they're targeting or what they're forecasting for, and at the moment they're struggling to hit between that 2 and 3%, and I think they're trying to think of ways to be able to do that, which is going to be a rate cut in the future from my opinion. So we are seeing that obviously, jobs are increasing, but they need inflation increasing. As inflation increases, let's say inflation increases by 3%, then over time, generally what happens is goods and services are going up because of the inflation, and that puts pressures on households and wage growth. So obviously the workers need to go out there and ask for a pay rise. The companies need to obviously accommodate for that as inflation happens. And they look at what's happening with inflation and generally give wage increases accordingly. So we're going to need inflation going forward. So what do I think about what's happening going forward? I believe that there is going to be more rate cuts. I believe between the mid-year and end of year we'll see rate cuts. In the economy. The reason being is I believe that we've had a credit crunch, and the credit crunch is slowing the economy. They aren't talking about this credit crunch at the moment, so I do think that at the later half of this year, they're going to start talking about finance and easing up on this credit crunch. And hopefully they start talking about it because that is what I see the cause of what's happening with the slow growth in Sydney, Melbourne markets and the economy overall and inflation. Now, what they want to do is obviously look for a rate cut maybe mid-year. But what's going to happen is if you cut rates, it's all good and well to cut rates, but you still need to be able to lend out that money. And if the serviceability is a lot harder and most people can't go out there and borrow, well then it doesn't really matter if you cut rates to zero. If you can't borrow any money, you can't borrow any money. So I believe that it's more so on the credit side of things and the supply of credit, which is going to increase our inflation and decrease our unemployment rate, because as we see more credit, we see more businesses thriving, we see more employment, we see more wage growth, and everything goes on what the supply of credit is. So I am looking out for what's happening on the credit side of things, rates. I do believe that rates will be decreasing by the end of the year, but I'll keep you up to date on what's happening throughout the next announcement. Anyway, guys, that's just what we've seen in the report of the RBA announcement and the cash rate on hold at 1.5% once again. If you like my videos, can you please like, share, and comment? And until next time, guys, have a great day.